Hi, this is Chris, and we are taking a look at question 28 here in section 4 of SAT Practice Test 2. So for this question, we see a graph, and it says in the XY plane above, ABCD is a square, and point E is the center of the square. The coordinates of points C and E are 7, 2, and 1, 0, respectively. So I might add those to the figure just because since they fall in between, it is helpful to note that this is right at 1, and that although we might guess it, it's nice to know that this is right at 7. So that does help provide some clarity to the graph. Which of the following is an equation of the line that passes through points B and D? So that's the key here, passing through those points. And if we draw in that line, so starting at B and going over to D, let me see if I can get that somewhat straight there. Nope. Let's do that again. So from B to D, a little bit imperfect, but we can live with it. Okay, so a couple key things here. First of all, at a quick glance for this line, we can see that in going from B to D, this is going to have a negative slope. So if we take a look at our answer choices and we look at each of those, we see negative slope. If you were to distribute the -3 here, that would have a negative slope. That's a negative slope. That's a negative slope. Okay, so positive and negative on the slope isn't enough for us to eliminate anything. Now let's look at something else. We have a y-intercept, and again, it looks like that's at roughly +3, right? Is it 3.1? Is it 2.9? Maybe. But we can at least get a ballpark idea of the equation of that line by using y-intercept. It's definitely not a y-intercept of -1. That would be down here, and it doesn't cross the y-axis anywhere close to that point, so we can eliminate A confidently. For B, let's see what this looks like if we do distribute out that -3. This would be -3x plus 3. Well, that looks close, actually, for that y-intercept. So we might keep that one on the table. And then for C, that's a y-intercept of +4. It doesn't look like that's where it passes through, but it might not be enough to really confidently eliminate it. But then D, same as A y-intercept of -1 is definitely nowhere near where that line crosses the y-axis. So if we're looking at B and C, again, you could eyeball it or ballpark it and try to figure out whether it's a +3 or a +4 as to where it crosses for the intercept. But let's see if we can confirm it with the slope. So this has a slope of -3 and this has a slope of -1/3. Well, how could we possibly confirm that? So we go back to this little fact here where they mentioned that it's a square. And if it's a square, that means that your two diagonals are going to cross at a 90-degree angle. These two lines are perpendicular to one another. And the reason that that is helpful is because since they give us these coordinates for C and E, that means we could find this slope, and that means the perpendicular line will have a slope that's the negative reciprocal. So let's use those coordinates, and to find slope, we're just going to do, with these two coordinates, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we can do, for the slope, 0 minus 2 over 1 minus 7, and that would be -2 over -6, which simplifies to a +1/3. The negatives cancel, and you reduce 2 over 6 to 1 over 3. So that's the slope of this line here from A to C, the line that goes from point A through point E all the way over to point C, which means that the perpendicular line will have the negative reciprocal slope, which means you're going to switch the sign. It'll be a negative, and you flip the fraction, a -3 over 1, or just -3. So we can go ahead and confirm that it is answer choice B. Now that's 27, or I'm sorry, that's question 28. Let's take a look at question 29. So here it says in the system of equations above, A and B are constants, and they want to know for which of the following values of A and B does the system of equations have exactly 2 real solutions. And so here, terminology-wise, when they say 2 real solutions, that's really like saying 2 points of intersection. So the solutions to a system are going to be where they overlap. So, oops, not 2 points of solution, 2 points of intersection. So here, it's going to be your solutions are where they overlap. Your solutions are your points of intersection. So it's important just to make sure we can interpret that correctly. So let's take a look here at a graph. And if we have y equals 3, that's going to be a horizontal line here at 3. So this is our line for y equals 3. Now for a parabola, so it's important to note that here A is going to tell us which direction it's facing. So in this case, if A is greater than 0, if A is positive, it'll face up. And if A is negative, it'll face down. And then B is going to tell us our y-intercept. So basically you could think of that like a vertical shift. That just tells us for our parabola, for example, if this were our parabola, the value of B will tell us where that's moving. So it might, move up or down accordingly. Maybe not down that far, but up or down accordingly, depending on that value of B. So let's look at both of those together for each answer choice. So for answer choice A, -2 means it'll face down, and then a value of 2 for B means it'll cross your y-axis. Your vertex will be right here at 2. So if it's downward facing from there, then how many points of intersection are we going to have? So hopefully we look at that and we say, ooh, yikes, that one's going to have 0 points of intersection. It can't be A. All right, so let's try another value here. So if we look at answer choice B, A is -2, so again, downward facing, and then B in this case is 4. So our line's at 3, so that would be up here. So here it's going to have its vertex at 4, and it's going to be downward facing. And if we look, hey, guess what? That's going to cross that horizontal line of y equals 3 at these 2 points. So it crosses right here and right here, and guess what? That is our correct answer. We have 2 points of intersection, and we're done. Now you could continue drawing out the rest of those, but since we're on question 29, we're getting towards the end of the section, finishing up these last tough multiple choice and getting ready to jump into the grid-ins. That probably means that time is going to be of the essence here. So if you find B and you see that it has those 2 points of intersection, go ahead and pick that confidently.